Welcome to the third and final part of this weekend's technical analysis. We'll take a look at palladium, platinum, copper, the crude oil, and the dollar index. Let's get started. We'll start with palladium. This is the weekly chart, and the significant Fibonacci we're looking at is from this high and this low. And you can say, well, why don't we take this low or any of the other ones? Well, this low isn't important. In fact, the low is like 200 or 300. It's extremely low because it was in a nice bull market up to this point. So I want to focus on this move here. Whenever you have a move to one direction and then it gets above the 61.8%, have a clear break above it, that means that move is a failure. And oftentimes you can very easily extend the gains. Therefore, any nice clear break above here, you hold above it for 3-4 weeks, or maybe you make a move straight up to like 800, 790-ish or so. Then we basically have seen that the selling to be that of a failure. Many different markets are at key reflection points. A lot of the markets are going to go up or down together. So if you see a bunch of them together showing confirmation that they're all going to break it or down together, then they usually will. Significantly, though, this support level was tested on many occasions, so the longer you're in a range, the bigger the breakout or breakdown tends to be, and, well, this was a pretty okay size breakdown, but it's been getting going fairly nicely, consolidating at this first Fibonacci level, no longer bearish, and a move up to this point in here. If it makes a higher, well, this low here, if it can come back down to like 670-ish or so, that's fine. And then if it does that, the chances would be greater that it breaks through that significant fib point. Let's move this on now to platinum. We'll do the same thing. We'll do the weekly chart. It's a little bit differently. And basically starting here, volatility when extreme. If you look at the size of the candle movements from this point forward and this point backwards, they're pretty big movements now compared to what we were going through before. This resistance point was at a previous level of support, and then boom, this is the low. But since this point came into play, it came up to this first significant fib level, and no resistance found. Oftentimes, when you don't find resistance or support where you're supposed to, you're gonna move to the next level, and oftentimes very quickly or convincingly. This was quick and convincing move. It's pierced below this level. Oftentimes, you're probably going to either get a correctionary phase in here, but maybe you don't find resistance here. It's just going to keep moving forward. You know, I don't know, but it's good to know that, because if you're here shorting this market here at 15.27 and you're still holding it, I don't know what's left to say. Let's now move on to copper. This is copper, and same thing, we have another major reflectionary point at this 2/3 Fibonacci level. And look at the size of this down movement here. The candle size here are smaller compared to what we have now. In fact, if we look at this copper chart, we can see a nice little symmetrical triangle that right in here and here. Well, the breakout obviously has came towards the upside up to this significant point here. Previous resistance here right around 360, key Fibonacci mark at 355. So 350 to 370 is where you'd want to see it pull back to. If it does, if it breaks through this level, then the next significant level is up towards like 4 and change. But $4 is huge. If you look back at the longer term time frame on copper, look back to a chart, if you can find it, a 10-year chart for copper. And look at the importance of $4 per ounce. And wow. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to crude oil. And this is the crude oil chart. And we're going to use the Fibonacci from this low of 74.95. We're going to use the Fibonacci from this high. And well, it seems everything's testing its 2/3 level. And it's been consolidating here for quite some time. The longer you're in a range, the bigger the breakout or breakdown tends to be. If it goes lower, I'd be expecting support here at this previous level. There was no resistance here. and then it went right to this level. It was also the second test because I've stated before, the more often you test the level, the more likely it is you take it out, or the chances increase. So you come here and you find resistance. And then you come back again. Well, that means the chances of taking it out were higher, and it did take it out. Therefore, it's breaking by this level of resistance here brings us to the next significant point at around 115 per barrel. Let's take a look at the monthly dollar index. And right now it's at 78.57, and the Fibonacci that I'm using is the lows of 70.70 right here, and the highs of 121 that, well, they're far away from the screen. I guess I'm going to have to show you another chart in just a little bit. Basically, it's below the bearish Fibonacci of 87, so it found resistance here, made a higher low, increased chances of breaking it out, but quite frankly, it didn't. When you come to a level, make a higher low, even though it's barely higher than this, and you come back to this mark here, what's important is making that higher low so that you can increase the chances when you get back there. So where would that higher low be? Right around here. It didn't find that support there. So I'm not liking the looks of it. In fact, this significant resistance area, which 80 is huge. Look back at my older videos. Search Endless Mountain Dollar Index or Dollar Index 80. 80 is just massive. But I'm going to look back at the chart back to down here because it's important. It's extremely important to understand the move. So this is what the dollar index looked back then. So that's that high of 121. So from this point, it's all it can do is get back up to here. That's all it's done is find resistance at this previous area of consolidation. Now, the dollar index to me, I'm not a big fan of it because it's basically fiat currency versus other fiat currency, and it doesn't give you a pure accurarization of how currency does. Really, the easiest one for how the currency does is, well, gold. Have yourself a great weekend and take care. Bye-bye.